I recently had to do my taxes, the usual yearly routine, but this time it went wrong. I was sitting at my laptop, going through the paperwork, when I came across a paycheck in Laura's name. The amount immediately caught my eye, almost double what I knew her salary was. It all started when I decided to do a little tidying up of the family budget. Preparing tax returns isn't the most pleasant thing to do, but what can you do? I spread the papers out on the table, unfolded my laptop and started filling out the form. Everything was going smoothly until I came across this document. At first I didn't even realize what was wrong. I reread the amount 3 times. Maybe it was a mistake. I tried to remember. Laura had said she got about $3,000 a month. And here it's almost 6. I'm not an accountant, but those figures couldn't be a typo. I felt uneasy. Maybe something's changed. A raise? Bonuses? But why didn't she tell me? I mean, we always talk about these things. Money is an open topic in our family. We agreed a long time ago, I pay the mortgage and utilities, and she takes care of groceries and small expenses. Her salary had always been modest, and I understood that. I pulled out my cell phone and called Laura at work. She picked up on the second ring. Hey, Mike, is something wrong? Hey, Mike. I'm just dealing with my taxes. Listen, is your paycheck okay? I just found a paycheck for $6,000. What the hell is that? What, did you go through my papers? His voice changed immediately, became tense and irritated. No, I was confused. I was just checking the documents for the tax office. It came up on its own. I didn't understand where the numbers came from. It's none of your business, she hung up abruptly. I sat there stunned. What do you mean, none of my business? We're husband and wife. Money is our common topic, we've always discussed everything. Why did she react like that? I was really worried. We were having financial difficulties, car loan, mortgage, utilities. I always thought Laura was trying in her own way, but I'm the primary earner. Always took on most of the expenses. Worked 2 jobs, worked part-time nights so we could afford to go on vacation at least once a year. The more I thought about it, the more resentment built up. I pulled up all of our bank statements from the last few months. I looked at the transfers from her account to the joint account, small amounts, but regular. Her contributions were modest, but I never complained. I always wanted her to feel comfortable, even if I was pulling the brunt of the workload. But now it felt like a knife in the back. If her paycheck was really twice as much, what did she think it was? What was she doing with that money? Why did I find out by accident? The longer I sat with these thoughts, the more rage built up. I tried to call her again, no use, she was getting disconnected. I wrote a message. Why did you hide your paycheck? We need to talk. There was no reply. I decided to wait until she got home from work, but my anger was only getting worse by the minute. My head was buzzing with thoughts. I tried to think of an excuse, maybe she was saving up for something, wanted to surprise me. But then why wasn't she saying anything now? Why wasn't she explaining? I was about to convince myself that it was just a misunderstanding when the doorbell rang. Laura had come home from work. I threw the phone on the couch and went into the hallway. She stood there, taking off her jacket without even looking in my direction. I felt like I was about to snap. Are you going to explain it to me? My voice trailed off, but I couldn't help myself. Explain what? She answered coldly. Why did you hide your salary? I worked 2 jobs, and you didn't even tell me you were making more. I don't have to report to you. She threw her jacket on the chair and went into the kitchen. Laura, what the hell? We're family. We've always been honest with each other. Why didn't you say anything? Because you don't understand, she leaned on the sink and turned to me. You're always trying to control everything. I just wanted to make sure I could help if something happened. Help? In secret? Do you know what that looks like? I almost screamed. I'm killing myself at work to pay the mortgage, and you're sitting on the money and not saying anything. She looked away, and I noticed her hands clenched into fists. I tried to understand her logic, but nothing was adding up. Everything inside said she betrayed me. Not financially, morally. I'd always trusted her, and she was hiding money from me. Maybe I just shouldn't have said anything to you, Laura said quietly. Do you even hear yourself? I couldn't stand it. If you are so good with money, quit. Let someone else pull it all together. She froze in place. I realized I'd overreacted, but I couldn't take it back. Laura walked quickly out of the kitchen, slamming the bedroom door shut. I was left standing in the middle of the room, not realizing how everything had fallen apart so quickly. I thought I was protecting our future, and now I felt like a fool. I couldn't figure out who was right. And why was she so offended if she had no malicious intent? I spent the rest of the evening in silence, flipping through my phone, but there were no messages from her. I tried to justify myself because I hadn't done anything wrong. I just wanted to figure it out. Is that a crime? But the guilt was already eating away at me. All night I tossed and turned in bed, unable to find a place to go. Laura never came out of the bedroom. I tried to calm down, but the same questions kept running through my mind. Why was she hiding her salary? Why didn't she say anything? And why was she so pissed off that I found out the truth? In the morning, I woke up on the couch, my back stiff and my head buzzing. I heard Laura getting ready for work, quiet footsteps, the rustle of clothes, the creak of the front door. Not even a goodbye. I felt a strange desolation. On the kitchen table, I noticed her cup with the remains of her coffee. The cooled liquid and a neatly folded napkin were the only reminders of her morning presence. I sighed and wondered if I'd really overreacted. Maybe I shouldn't have thrown accusations around in the first place. But resentment gnawed at me from the inside. I remembered how I'd pulled part-time jobs to keep us out of debt. How I'd worked night shifts to save up for vacations because I knew she couldn't save. And now it turns out she was making more money than she said she was. Feeling the anger rising again, I pulled out my phone. Wrote a message. We need to talk. I don't understand why you've been hiding your money. It's not fair. But I didn't have time to send it. The door slammed and Laura came back in. I looked at her face, red eyes, tired look. You won't even listen to me? She stood in the doorway, arms crossed over her chest. I want to hear why you kept the truth from me, I answered, trying not to raise my voice. Because you always take it as a threat, Laura said sharply. Like I'm trying to show you that I can do something on my own. And I just wanted to do something right for once, without your control. Control? I didn't understand. I worked so hard to make sure you didn't need anything. I worked so we could have a house, a car, a normal life. And I tried not to push you. Her voice was shaking. You don't realize how hard it is to be around you sometimes. You always have to be in charge. I just wanted to help for once, without reminding you that I can do something too. Those words sounded like a slap in the face. I felt everything inside me turn upside down. Help? By keeping quiet and hiding the money? I raised my voice. I feel like a fool, Laura. I'm working hard, and you're silent, saving up and pretending that nothing is happening. Is that normal? Because you don't understand. She shouted. If I told you I was making more, you'd start asking me how it happened. You always have to be in control, Mike. It's a lot of pressure. I just wanted you to feel needed, to have a safety cushion in case something happened. And as it turns out, I feel cheated, I threw out. Do you even know what that feels like? When you think your wife is on the verge of quitting, but in reality she's doing great, she just doesn't talk about it. She clenched her fists. You know what? Maybe I really was wrong. But so are you. You never listen. You just need to be in charge, even if I can do something on my own. My words stuck in my throat. I stared at her, trying to comprehend what she said. It felt like I was on the verge of losing something important, but stubbornness and anger wouldn't let me take a step back. Maybe I should have just told you right away, to make you feel like the boss, Laura said quietly. But you know what? I'm tired of feeling guilty for wanting to be on my own. Those words cut deepest. I remained silent, not knowing how to respond. She turned around and walked towards the door. Where are you going? To Sarah's, Laura said shortly and slammed the door shut. I sat down on the couch, feeling like a complete idiot. My heart was pounding, my thoughts were jumbled. I didn't know who was right in this situation. But one thing pained me: why hadn't she told me sooner? Why had she chosen to hide everything? Sitting in the empty apartment, I tried to analyze her words. Did I really put so much pressure on her that she was afraid to be herself? But I just wanted us to be okay. Is that a bad thing? I thought about how many nights I spent at work to provide stability. How I'd come home late and Laura would bring dinner to the couch, even if she was tired. And now it turns out she'd been helping all along, but in secret. For a moment I felt a strange regret, as if I had not only failed to hear her, but also failed to understand her. I felt like everything was already falling apart and I couldn't change anything. I tried to text her, but I erased it. Then I typed again. "Laura, come back. We need to talk normally." There was no reply. I called Tom, a friend who always knew how to defuse the situation. But he didn't pick up. I felt I was alone with this problem. All night I sat there going over her words in my head. I tried to figure out, was she really hiding it out of fear? Or was it just an excuse? I was used to being in charge of the family not out of a desire for control, but because I felt it was my duty. But if she'd been afraid to say anything to me all this time, I must have missed something. As it was getting dark outside the window, I heard a beep on my phone. A message from Laura. "I need time to think. Don't call." I tossed the phone on the couch and stared at the ceiling. One thought pulsed in my head: what if I had really overreacted? What if my self-confidence had ruined what we'd been building all these years? The next morning I was awakened by a sharp knock on the door. I got out of bed, looked at the clock. It was barely 7 in the morning. Whoever it was obviously didn't realize that people usually wanted to sleep so early. I opened the door and froze. Standing on the doorstep was Sarah, Laura's friend. Sarah was the kind of woman who wouldn't let her friends or enemies down. I could tell she was ready to blow my mind. "Are you out of your fucking mind?" She started in without even saying hello. "Good morning to you, too," I mumbled, not sure what was going on. "Are you out of your mind, Mike? Forcing Laura to quit is crazy." Her voice was harsh, almost ear-splitting. "Sarah, wait. Do you even know what happened?" I tried to get a word in edgewise. But she wasn't listening. She walked past me into the apartment and sat down in the kitchen. I knew this was going to be a long conversation. "Listen to me, Mike. I talked to Laura all night last night. She's a mess. Do you realize what you've done? I found out my wife was hiding her paycheck from me. I was working 2 jobs, and I couldn't finish. And she wanted to save up for your vacation together." Sarah interrupted me, staring me straight in the eye. "Did you know she was working on 2 projects at the same time?" "What?" I was confused. "What 2 projects?" Sarah rolled her eyes. "Laura was freelancing in the evenings. After her day job. To save up for that trip to the mountains you'd been dreaming of. She didn't want you to know so you wouldn't feel worthless. Because every time she offered to pay for something, you refused. Remember? I just wanted to be a man. To pay for everything, to be a pillar. What's wrong with that?" I answered, not believing what I was saying. "Mike, there's no room for competition in a relationship. You've always been obsessed with the idea of being a provider. But sometimes people want to be needed, too. Laura tried to help, and you took it as a betrayal." I didn't know what to say. I tried to justify myself. She could have just told me. Instead of hiding it. Would you have understood her? Or would you have immediately decided that she was undermining your male ego? Sarah was no longer shouting, but her voice was full of reproach. "I didn't know. I didn't think she was." I lost the thread. "You made her quit, Mike. Just out of pride. She's at my place right now, crying and not knowing how to take it all back." I sat at my desk and stared at the wall. My mind was reeling with memories of the last few days, how Laura had come home tired, how when I asked her, "How was your day?" she'd just waved it off with, "Normal, nothing special." And only now did I realize that she was doing all this for us. For our family. And I, in my desire to be the main breadwinner, didn't see it. "Sarah, I've ruined everything," I whispered. "Yes, you did. But before it's too late, we have to fix it. Laura loves you, but your selfishness has suffocated her. If you don't change, she'll leave. I looked at Sarah with hope. How do I get her back? Start by apologizing. A real one. No accusations. And without your manly principles. Are you ready? I nodded, even though my insides were clenching with guilt and fear. Thank you for telling me. I didn't know the whole truth. Don't thank me, Mike. Just be human. She loves you. But if you do that again, she's gone forever. Sarah left, and I was alone, trying to make sense of what I'd heard. Pride was pulling me back, but my heart said otherwise. I opened my laptop and started writing Laura a letter. A long one. Honest. No unnecessary words. I knew that if I didn't show her now that I realized my mistake, I would lose her. I'd lose my family. I'd lose everything. After I talked to Sarah, I couldn't find my place for a long time. Her words rattled around in my head. She wanted to help you. Surprise you. And you just crushed her. I was sickened by my own stupidity, but I still couldn't fully accept the idea that Laura was right. Why hadn't she told me outright? Why had she chosen silence? That evening I called Tom. He'd always been the kind of man who took the easy way out and didn't sweat the small stuff. If anyone could give me honest advice without too much drama, it was him. We met at the bar on the corner. Tom was already sitting behind the bar with a beer. When I approached, he knew right away that this was serious. Wow, man, you look like someone died, he joked, but seeing my face, he quickly changed his tone. What's up? I ordered myself a whiskey and sighed heavily. I screwed up, Tom. A big one. Laura's gone. Tom raised an eyebrow. Left? You kicked her out? I shook my head. No. It was more like I made her leave. Look, I found out she'd been hiding her real salary all this time. Turns out she was making more money than I thought. I freaked out, and, well, I told her to quit if she was so independent. Tom looked at me puzzled. Wait, you told her to quit because she was making more money? That's not the point. I interrupted. I just couldn't believe she was lying to me. I was working 2 jobs to pay the mortgage, and she just kept quiet, knowing how hard it was for me. Tom took a sip of his beer and sighed. Did you even try to find out why she was hiding it? Yeah. Sarah said Laura was working 2 projects to save up for the trip. Allegedly she wanted to support me, but she was afraid I'd feel worthless. Like, I always want to be the main breadwinner. Aren't you glad? Tom grinned. Dude, you married a woman who not only doesn't hang around your neck, but supports you. And you kicked her out. I didn't kick her out, I snapped. I just told her that if she was so confident in her abilities, she should look for a new job. Tom shook his head. You're a real asshole. You know, Laura is one of those women who does everything wisely. If she kept quiet, it means she was afraid of your reaction. You've always had this, I'm in charge, I'm the man, mentality. And she just wanted to help you. But she lied. Isn't that okay? Don't I have a right to know what's going on in our family? Yes, Tom nodded. But honestly, if she'd told you she was getting more, you wouldn't have snapped. I wondered. Honestly, I probably would have. I'm too proud. I always thought a man should provide for his family. Well, Tom continued. She knew you'd take it as a violation of your manhood. She decided to keep quiet so you wouldn't get hurt. But you created the problem. Maybe, I mumbled, staring into my glass. You know, sometimes in life you have to be able not only to be in charge, but also to accept help. Even if it comes from your wife. It was your pride that ruined you. I knew Tom was right, but something inside of me kept resisting. Like my pride was a wounded animal that didn't want to die. I can't just give her back. I screwed up. She won't talk to me, I muttered. So don't wait for her to come to you. You're a real asshole if you think this is gonna work itself out. Apologize, explain everything to her. If she loves you, she'll understand. But if you keep sitting there with that sour face, you're gonna lose her. I didn't say anything. Tom's words hit the mark. You know what the most frustrating thing is? I said quietly. I love her. I don't want to lose her. But I still have the thought in my head that she betrayed me. Tom finished his beer and patted me on the shoulder. Love is when you can get over your ego. Are you ready to do that? I looked at him, and for the first time in days I realized I didn't want to play the proud idiot anymore. I had to make the first step, or I'd lose the most precious thing in my life. Okay, I said firmly. I'll give it a try. Thank you, Tom. Don't thank me. Just make sure your wife doesn't feel guilty for wanting to help. I left the bar with a heavy heart, but with a determination to make a difference. I realized one important thing: sometimes our pride is worth more than love. But what's the point if you end up alone? It had been a week since that night at the bar, when Tom had literally shaken me up and made me look at the situation from the outside. I'd dialed Laura's number several times, but each time I'd hung up before the first ring. The fear that she wouldn't pick up, or worse, would answer coldly, was eating me up inside. I realized that every day I dragged on apologizing would only drive us further apart. I felt like I couldn't stand it if I lost her completely. But what to say? Just show up and say, "I'm sorry, I'm a fool." That's not enough. On Saturday morning I plucked up the courage to go to Sarah's. I knew Laura was temporarily staying with her. I stood on the porch for about 10 minutes, gathering my thoughts, and finally knocked. Sarah opened the door. She obviously wasn't expecting to see me. Mike? What are you doing here?" she asked, clearly wary. "I need to talk to Laura. I know she's here." "She left," Sarah said, looking me straight in the eye. "She packed her things and went to her sister's. Didn't say where." I was confused. Laura had never made such a sudden move. We always talked about any kind of travel. "Do you know where she is?" I asked, trying to hide the tremor in my voice. Sarah shook her head. "She said she didn't want to see you. That she needed time to think." I came home devastated. It seemed like all the words no longer made sense. I collapsed on the couch and closed my eyes, trying to imagine what I would say to her if I saw her again. And then I noticed an envelope on the kitchen table. My handwriting. It was the note I'd left in case Laura came back while I was gone. But now it had another touch on it, her handwriting. She'd left a reply. "Mike. I don't know how we're going to be now. I know you feel betrayed, but I didn't mean it that way. I just wanted to help you. You always said a man should provide for his family. I knew you felt that way, and I was afraid that if you knew I was getting more, it would hurt your dignity. I really wanted to save up for our trip so we could have a vacation without worrying about money for once. I thought it would be a surprise. I was wrong. When you told me I should quit, I realized we were too different on this issue. You see money as power and responsibility, and I see it as an opportunity to share that burden with you. I didn't want to be your competition. I just wanted to be there for you. Now I need time to figure out how to move forward. I love you, but I'm hurting. Laura." I reread the letter 5 times. I could feel her pain and disappointment in every word. I realized, my pride had become a wall between us. I always thought I was strong and reliable, but in reality I was weak and selfish. I picked up the phone and dialed her number. My heart was pounding like crazy. The long beep seemed like an eternity. Finally, I heard her voice. "Laura." I froze, not knowing how to continue. "Mike?" Her voice was quiet, distant. "I'm sorry," I breathed out. "I was an idiot. I didn't mean for things to turn out this way. I was afraid you didn't need me anymore. I'm used to being the one who pulls my weight. And you were stronger than I thought. Mike, I never wanted to be stronger than you. I just wanted to be there for you and do something good for us. I realized that too late. I don't want to lose you because of my stupid pride. I'm willing to change if you give me a chance." There was a long silence. I almost stopped breathing. "I'll think about it," she said finally. "But we need time." "I understand," I said. "Just know that I can't be happy without you." When the conversation ended, I felt strangely relieved. Yes, things were still difficult, and I didn't know how soon she would be able to forgive me. But at least I'd taken the first step toward getting her back. Tom was right. Love isn't just about protecting and defending. It's also about accepting help. I always wanted to be strong for her, but it turns out sometimes it's stronger to admit your weakness. I've since decided to reevaluate my views on relationships. I can't always be in charge or the provider. A family is a partnership. If I want to be with Laura, I must learn to share not only the joys, but also the responsibilities. It's been 2 weeks. Laura is still at her sister's. But yesterday she sent a text. "Thanks for calling. I miss you too. I realize it's not over. But at least now we have a chance. And I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure we don't miss it." Sometimes the truth doesn't just hurt. It teaches us how not to lose the ones we love.